Okay, so we just started after you guys created your presentations, which looked really good, by the way. I asked you to identify people that made an impact on you as a speaker. Yeah? And we had just had 2 or 3 of those. Let's add a few more to that list. Who wants to go? Kayla, yes. We are going to get back to you. We ended with you saying, hold that thought.
Yep.
So good segue, please.
I was going to say Oprah and Michelle Obama.
Both are excellent choices. Both are really terrific speakers. And yeah, they've obviously had great success. And how many of you are thinking about going to Michelle Obama's talk here in Houston? Yeah. Yeah, when's it coming? It's in April? March. Yeah, it's at the Toyota Center. It ought to be quite a remarkable event. So if you want to see a gifted speaker, I would encourage you to, in person, I would encourage you to go see that.
I think it sold out in like 3 minutes.
It did? Sold out? Really? Because I'm not...
You can buy them like
from ticket resellers?
Yeah.
Huh, that could be. Yeah, because I went on not too long ago and saw tickets, but that could have very well been a reseller. Yeah, good point. Somebody else? Yes, ma'am.
Chip.
Your name is?
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. Madeline. It's all right. Chip?
Chip Connolly.
I know that name.
Yeah, he founded it's a French boutique hotel that was sold a couple years ago.
Okay.
I forgot the name of it.
All right.
But I really like him as a speaker because he's very honest.
Straightforward?
Yes.
Forthright? Good.
And he does a lot of speeches, and it's not just all how to make $1 million. It's kind of
Darn.
realistic. So
Yeah. You know, one of the things about people that speak often that have had success is they don't talk about their failures. Anybody that's had quite a bit of success has failed, right? Google's motto is fail quickly. They fail often, they fail quickly, they just recognize it, they stop it, and they do something differently.
oh, it's Joie de Vivre.
Joie de Vivre
Yeah.
was a very good hotel. Yeah, it's a really nice boutique hotel brand.
He also works with Airbnb.
Okay? Yeah, good. So, interesting. Yeah, and you've seen him speak.
No, but I've listened to his TED Talks.
Ah.
And other
Okay, very good. Somebody else? Yes, ma'am.
President Obama.
Yeah, Barack Obama was an outstanding, gifted speaker.
Yeah, and everything.
Uh-huh.
And if there was like thousands of people, and just like how affected the crowd was.
Yeah.
Even though he was like, thousands of people.
Yeah,
It was still powerful.
yeah, totally. John F. Kennedy, speaking of presidents, if you haven't ever watched his talks, I would encourage you to watch his talks. His brother, Bobby Kennedy, we lost both of them to assassinations, but his brother, Bobby Kennedy, was also a very effective speaker. We mentioned Martin Luther King last time. Who else? Yes, sir.
Following the kind of trend, I chose Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah,
Because he was honest,
Honest
and
Abe.
yeah, honest, and he really knew how to like rally people.
He did. He could build a consensus. Yeah. Not a total one, but a majority. DeAndre? Listen.
Donald Trump. The reason why I say it because he doesn't motivate people in a good way, but he motivates some people.
You could, yeah, I'm sure some people feel, yeah. Listen, yeah. There's certainly something there. No doubt about it. Adolf Hitler had a little of that.
He had more than that.
You don't have to correlate the two. I was just bringing that up. That's up to you to decide, not me. But yeah, I mean, look, you gotta give credit where credit is due, right? Which is what you're doing. Yeah, fair point. I'm just pulling up our schedule. I just want to be sure about something before I tell you. I looked at it this morning and I feel confident I'm there, but I just want to be absolutely sure. Yes. Okay, good. So a few more, just a couple more. Sammy, who'd you come up with?
A family
It's all right. Who was it?
His name is John Storm. He has his own company. It's like business consulting,
Mm-hmm.
and he just is a well-rounded speaker.
Okay.
It's kind of like motivating and interesting, but also things you need to know.
Good.
Yeah.
So he made an impact on you.
Yeah.
Good. All right. How many of you have ever gone to a Toastmasters meeting? Anybody? Are you familiar with Toastmasters? Okay. If you're interested in developing your ability to speak and you're curious about exploring it more and you want to spend more time on it, Toastmasters is a free, typically, organization where you go and you stand up and you give presentations. And there's people in the room that will assess you and give you feedback on your speaking skills. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's a University of Houston chapter that probably meets on campus. But there are chapters in all areas of the city. And if it's not free, it's pretty inexpensive. Would you like to hear more about that? All right, I'll get somebody to come in and talk to you about it. Yeah, thank you. If you're nervous about speaking, going to these chapter meetings and standing up and speaking can really help you overcome your fear. Okay, I think Spencer's got this. Let's sign in. And then, Spencer, I think we need to close it up at a certain time, right? Yes. Yeah, okay. Can everybody see, or am I in the way? Can you see? Anybody else tired today? It's kind of cold outside. Who wanted to stay in bed this morning? Oh my gosh, right? How many of you don't like to wake up when it's dark outside? I need the sunshine. You guys, this 8:30 class I'm teaching, I never teach 8:30, and I have to wake up when it's dark. I'm like, what? I need to get paid extra for this. Everybody in? All right, focus. Get in. That's me. You may. Now it's gotten really cold in here. Are we there yet? That's me. You can, but here's what I want you to do today. If you're having trouble logging in now, put your name, full name, and PeopleSoft number on a piece of paper and the date, and turn it into Spencer, right? That way you get credit for today. And then we'll continue to try to figure out a solution. Is that okay? There's going to be some glitches as we start. Let's just do the best we can. Right. So here's looking ahead. Spencer, you're good? Everybody good? All right. If you didn't get it done digitally, use the paper method today because we're going to move forward. Okay. Thank you, Spencer, for arranging that. All right. And turn the paper in at the end of class, okay? So, all good examples, we can continue going on and on, but I think it's important that you watch speakers that you like and that you have an impact on you, and you ask yourself, why does this have an impact on me? And because that can help you develop your own speaking style. I would encourage you not to try to mimic somebody, but I do think it's important to kind of see different perspectives. that can help you. Spencer, is that you, or is that us, or is that? I'm not the only one that hears that, right? This reminds me of the U.S. Embassy in Cuba that got. Is that what they're doing? Okay. Yeah, just check kindly, right? Kindly tell them to shut the. As kindly as you can. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, speaking of interfering with messaging, here we go. So, keep looking at that. Now, looking ahead, though, in the schedule, today we're going to talk about personal presentation skills, and you guys had a nice head start with your posts. I was very impressed with those. Good writing skills, good insight about personal presentation, so thank you for doing that. Give us a nice start to our conversation. But having said that, at the beginning of the semester when I was planning the course, I scheduled 2 days for this conversation around personal presentation styles. My plan is to wrap it up today, and so Tuesday we will not have class. In lieu of class, I want you to use the template again, and I want you to create a presentation on giving a presentation. Right? That will reinforce everything we're going to talk about giving a presentation. And I want you to be prepared to deliver that presentation when you come to class on Thursday. No more than 2 minutes. It can be shorter, but it can't be longer. 2 minutes. Yes, ma'am?
Sorry, you said to create a presentation?
To create a presentation using the speech template that's in the resources that we used Tuesday, to create a presentation about making a presentation. You can use that template. You can use our conversation today. You can go out to the internet if you're curious about that. It's David. Yeah, I'm sorry. I want to keep calling you by your brother's name.
So we're using Tuesday to prepare the stuff on Thursday presenting?
That's correct. So obviously we won't get to everybody on Thursday. If I call on you, I expect you to stand up and deliver. Now that I think about it, ladies and gentlemen, no, 2 minutes. Okay. Now, but if I call on you, you're not prepared, right? Then that's an absence, even if you're here. Does everybody understand that? You have to be prepared to class to get credit for being here. Yes, ma'am?
Are we allowed to use notes when we give the
You are allowed to use notes when you give the presentation. I'm not going to ask you to memorize anything in here. Okay? If you want to use note cards, you're not going to be able to use PowerPoint because we're just not going to have the time to set it up. But I'm going to ask you to either come down here or stand to the side and deliver it. Okay? So we're going to practice the skills we're going to talk about today. Right? Where was I? Oh, if you want to use notes or a note card, here's what I recommend. I recommend that one thought, one card. And make sure the font is large. Number your cards. Because if you drop them, you need to figure out how to put them back the sequential order. Right? Your cards, PowerPoint comes from note cards, right? That's how we evolved. So, but people started putting, as we talked at the end of class, more and more information on PowerPoint slides. And then they just started reading the slides. So yes, use a note card. But the card should just remind you of what you want to talk about. Some key words so that you're not reading the card. Let's practice that. Okay? I'm not going to count off if you read some or if you read to get used to it. That's why we're here to practice. I'm just trying to give you the goal. All good with that? All right. So, I asked you to think about idiosyncrasies from a vocal perspective. Do you remember that request? Us, and us, ums. How many of you have identified some that you have? Okay. What have you got? Yes, sir, Sam. Yeah. How many of you start We do that. Listen to yourself. Do you see why ums repeatedly can interfere with the conversation? Okay. Need to think about that. It distracts from the messaging. Remember, the communication concept is effectively communicating, not interfering with the communication. Can the temperature interfere with communication? It's hard to learn when it's this cold. If we don't solve it today, we're going to go someplace else. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, okay. Now, what other idiosyncrasies do we have from a vocal perspective? Lizzie? I was like and you were like. And I think I said you had the Texas accent. I was like and you were like. It's crazy what happens. Anybody from the Northeast? Kayla, where are you from? New York. But you don't have that. No, I turned it off. You turned it off. Smart girl. Is it, cello. Massachusetts, perfect. My mother's from Cambridge. Yeah, my mom is. Yeah, and so my mother, who's lived in Dallas, Texas for the last 60 years, still says park. And boys, take your things up the stairs. And she still says Harvard because they don't say their R's. Instead of an R, they use the AH. So it's Harvard, it's park. They cannot say an R. It's like, here's one. What do you start your car with? Say it all together. Car key, right? Okay. Well, in Boston, they'll say to me, do you have your car keys? You have your car, and I think they're asking me if I got pants. You have your khakis, right? You got your khakis? You got your car keys? Or they'll say, everybody say coffee. One more time? Coffee? Right? Coffee. They sent me out to get coffee one time. Dunkin' Donuts. I'll go to get coffee. My aunt said, tell them I would like to have a dark coffee. Okay? Well, dark coffee here means what? Dark, black, right? Up there it's half and half. Half coffee, half cream. But that's not the point. Dunkin' Donuts is busy up there. There are people in line. They're in a hurry. Oh, you got your Harvard sweatshirt on. They're trying to get to work, but they need their fix. These are all drug addicts on caffeine, like many of you in here. But I'm standing in line and I'm ready because I know people are behind me and I want to do this quick and get out of the way. And she said, what do you want? I said, I want a dark coffee. She said, a what? I said, I'd like a dark coffee. And everybody behind me is looking at me. And they're going, come on, come on, come on. And the lady behind the counter goes, I don't understand what you want. I said, I want coffee, but dark. That's what I was told to get. And somebody behind me goes, he wants a dark coffee. And the lady goes, well, why didn't you say so? And I go, oh, my God. So let that be a lesson to you. Communication and articulation is important, yes? And when we don't articulate clearly, it's typically because we are being lazy or we have adopted some colloquial or local vernacular, whether it's in our neighborhood or whether it's in a particular city or whether you come from the UK or Australia, it's going to be challenging. How many of you English is not your first language? Okay? And how many of you would like to develop the ability to articulate the English language without an accent? Raise your hand. Some people want to keep their accent. I get that. And that's okay. You've just got to realize that it might interfere with your ability to communicate. But I'm going to give you a tool today to enable you to speak languages, whichever language you want to learn, without an accent or with the appropriate accent if that's what you want. Okay? Okay. What other idiosyncrasies do we have? Again?
Would you consider y'all as one?
Y'all is kind of one, especially in Texas, right? Y'all is what? An inappropriate contraction for you all, right? And how do you spell y'all? How many of you think the apostrophe comes after the Y or comes after the A? All right. It's after the Y, right? It's you all, y'all. But don't use it when you're writing. Don't use it. You can use it when you text. You can use it on a billboard in Texas. Do not use it in a formal communication. About y'all?
About the y'all.
Okay.
What about the triple contraction, y'all the?
Y'all who? This sounds like a turducken thing. What are you talking about?
It's you all would have, but it's y'all.
Y'all, I can't even say that. All right, hold on just a minute. No and no. Not in my class, not ever.
But were you born and raised here?
Yeah,
And you never
in Dallas. Let me give you a couple of thoughts. Words matter. One time I was listening to a lady give a talk. She was an elegant speaker, and she was a food critic for the Chronicle, and I feel badly, it was a little harsh on her, but I don't remember. But she said, she was talking about food quality, and she said they really know how to fix their fine cuisine at this restaurant. And I almost had a heart attack. I said, fix fine cuisine? I said, is it broken? I said, do you mean prepare? Do you mean create? We don't fix fine cuisine. We're not fixing up to go somewhere. No, we're not fixing to do anything. You are getting ready to go. You are preparing to go. You are thinking about going. But if something's not broken, then you're not fixing it. And I fix it, and you can repair it as well. Words matter. Yes? Think about the words you use. Madeleine.
But whenever you're translating Latin, they actually use y'all because it is a conjunction.
A contraction?
Or a contraction,
Yeah.
So they actually use it in some.
You are going to have to show me that. Show me that. I have 3 nieces and nephews that all studied Latin. Why? I don't know. But they did, but I'm going to run it past them. I'm not saying no. I just want to see it. Yes, ma'am, in the back. So. Anything that interferes in a repetitive way is not the best practice. And we do it subconsciously. How many of you thought about your ums before we talked about it in class? Where are my Spanish speakers? How many of you use the word pues? I go to Colombia, like, ¿qué más pues? Pues has absolutely nothing to do with that sentence. But they use it all the time. And they use it as an interrupter, as so. Pues, pues, pues. And so you say, wait, if you're trying to learn the language, you're like, wait, what does pues mean? And they're like, I don't know. Just throw it in there. Am I right? Yeah. Yes. Words matter. So is another it's a vocalized pause. It interferes with the messaging, right?
I feel like so and are kind of like
Same thing. And Or, do you know what I mean? How many of you have conversations with people and the do you know what I means take up more space and more time than the content of the conversation? Or you know. Somebody says, you know? No, I don't know. If I knew, I wouldn't be listening to you. Right? Words matter. The way we say them matters. You have to learn to articulate. Remind me of your name. Hota. And would you put a name tag up? If you don't have one with you, bring it next time. And I just want to remind everybody that we don't use mobile devices in here. So if we're, right? You don't need that anymore, right? Okay, let's close it up. Laptops as well. Everybody remember that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Thank you. I just got this, and I have yet to figure out how to turn it off. So I'm working on it. Now I'm turning it off for sure. Quit that. Quit that. Thank you. You have to learn to speak to your watch. I haven't worn a watch in 30 years. This is going to be so strange. I what? Yeah, I know. But I haven't quite figured out how to make that happen yet. Because I also got a new phone yesterday, too. Because after I dropped my phone 30 times, and on the 31st time, it broke. So I was unhappy. That's exactly what happened. She was a great salesperson. She really was. If you want a great salesperson, ask for Vivian down at T-Mobile, down on Smith Street. She'll sell you anything and everything, whether you need it or not. She'll sell it to you. She met what? I honestly don't. I didn't know what kind of phone I had, but I think I think what I learned yesterday is that I had an iPhone 7, and I ended up with a 10X or 10 something or 10X. Oh, the X is the 10, XS. Whatever came out in 2018. 10S? I didn't get the big one, no. I got the small one. No. But I live with my mobile. I don't use a laptop or a desktop. I do everything on my iPad or my phone because I travel so much. It just doesn't work for me. So that's what I do. But as a matter of fact, I love this commercial where the mother reaches out to like her 9-year-old kid who's outside working on her tablet, and the mother says, "Sweetheart, put the computer away now. It's time to come to dinner." And she goes, "Mom, what's a computer?" Right? Because, these kids, they're not growing up with laptops and desktops. They're growing up with tablets can do. If you get the right apps, you can do anything and everything. Yeah. So articulation, think about it. One of the key things I want you to walk away from this class is just being self-aware and mindful of these habits we get into. And until we recognize it and pay attention to it, we're just not going to stop it. My daughter left a voicemail for me one time. It had 37 ums in it. 37. I started charging her by the I said, "This is your allowance. Every time you say in a message when you speak to me, I'm taking $1 off." She said, "Dad, that's a lot, I said, "Yeah, $2 gone." It didn't take long. She still does it, but it drives me crazy. So let's avoid these vocalized pauses. Now, what about visual things, the idiosyncrasies visually that interfere with messages? How many of you have seen those? What have you seen, Nicholas?
Twitching.
Sorry?
Twitching.
Twitching, like foot tapping. Yes, Lizzie? Playing with your hair. Yeah. What else? Alice?
I know I have trouble maintaining eye contact.
Eye contact is challenging. What's the number one driver of credibility in a talk? How do you demonstrate confidence? Eye contact. It's hard because some cultures, it's challenging. You don't grow up with that. But look, we're going to talk about not just communication with groups. We're going to talk about one-on-one communication. How important is eye contact then? Very important. We're going to talk about it this next time we come together on Thursday. But it is important. I'm glad you brought it up. I'm glad you recognize it. We've got to work at it because it's a driver of credibility, and we're going to practice that in here. And look, eye contact is this. talking to somebody with eye contact. It's not this. It's talking to somebody, holding them for a second, and then getting back to somebody else, right? Making your point and then going on. But it's really important. I'm glad you brought it up. Madeline.
This was with the professor a couple times.
Yes.
And he would hold papers and fiddle with it.
Uh,
And it kind of caused myself...
distraction.
It was very distracting, and it kind of lost some of his credibility because nobody wanted to listen to him and didn't think that he...
Exactly. You know, for sure, that's what happens. People begin to get distracted when something is so repetitive. It happens. Yes, ma'am.
I work with somebody when he's giving like important presentations, and like where I have all the managers at work, he constantly licks his lips, and it's very distracting.
That would be distracting. I can't even think about that. Who do you not want to mimic when you're giving a presentation? That guy or the teacher in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Has everybody seen that movie? Do I need to assign it as a... If you have... If you... Huh?
He's actually a professor. That's how he teaches. In the ADC.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, that would be a challenge. Okay. Anything else you've seen? Yes, ma'am. Carly? Swaying. Pacing. Have you seen people do this? Oh. Have you seen people run off without the microphone? Dodger Stadium, about 15 years ago, there was a guy singing the national anthem. I don't know if you can find it on YouTube, but he's singing the national anthem, and they had cords then on the microphone, and they had him a lavalier mic, and he was plugged in, and he totally, after it was over, he totally forgot that he had it on, which happens, right? But not in front of 80,000 of your closest friends and a national television audience. Somebody should have been out there and told him. But he starts walking after he finishes, and of course you got everybody on their feet, and everybody's clapping, and of course total attention on him, and he's walking, and my friends happen to be in the stadium, and they see it happen, and they're like, dude, no, you got this, and he's waving to him. He's going, yeah, and then whoop, bam, and he goes back. So be mindful of microphones. We had a federal judge speaking to us one time that just totally trashed out the lawyers in the room, myself included. There's about 150 of us. It was a luncheon, and he said all kinds of negative things about lawyers, and then he forgot to turn his microphone off when he went to the bathroom, right? And, of course, everybody heard it. Yeah. So I'm just giving you that. Learn from other people's mistakes. But pacing. Look, I like to move. One of the reasons I sit is because I move a lot. Yeah? But I like to move for a purpose, and I encourage you to move for a purpose. If you want to present, you want to move with a purpose. You want to come here. If DeAndre's not paying attention, I might come, not that you aren't, but if you weren't. If he wasn't, I might come over here, right, and get more energy on this side of the room. Or I might do the same thing, or I might walk up the side of the room. But I do it with a purpose. This is the kind of pacing that Carly is talking about. It looks almost like somebody's doing the Watusi up here. But it's why? It's because we are nervous. Look, people get nervous when they stand up and speak to people. That's part of it. That's why we're talking about it in here. The more we talk about it, the more we acknowledge it, the easier it will be to deal with it and to recognize that standing still takes work and effort. But after you do it for a while, it will become second nature. Hands can be a problem. I speak with my hands. How many of you talk with your hands? In intimate conversations and to a group. Yeah? Both? Yeah, I have a friend of mine. He's a tennis guy, and he's raised 3 sons. They're all great tennis players. We're best of friends. But man, when he speaks, people listen because he is so intense with his hands. It's like, and I'm like, dude, simmer. It's going to be okay. But you have to realize that your hands can be distracting. So emphasizing with your hands is one thing. Making a pizza is another. You see the difference? So it's good to be animated It's good to get people's attention. It's good to emphasize. But you can't do it just because you're nervous. So what can you do with your hands? Okay, a lot of people, how's this? If I stood up to give a talk. Some people, it's a distraction for them. It's a little different. How about one hand? Are you okay with that? How many of you are okay with that? So a lot of people are like, no. Okay, what if I did this? Here's the thing. You got to find something to do with your hands. How about this? That's kind of the old white man arrogant thing, right? That we talked about, right? Right? Okay, not so much. What are you going to do with your hands? Oh, just my thumbs in my pocket. Anybody okay with that? Lizzie, you okay with that? You're okay with that? Who's not okay with this? Not okay with that. All right. Look, I don't care. I use my hands when I speak because I have no idea what to do with them otherwise. Now, I have a friend who's she's a great speaker. I was going to use the word dynamic. That's not accurate. She is a gifted speaker, but she is she will stand like this for 45 minutes without a podium, without notes, and she will speak. And she'll keep everybody's attention. But I'm yikes. I was going to say but I'm thinking, ooh, that's tough. But she keeps her hands here. Now, I think this is okay. As long as your hands are relaxed. Don't try to crack a walnut because you're nervous, right? Because then it's going to show. All right, and remember, we don't do this. Remember our body language conversation. Or this. Right? Yeah, this means we're covering up. We don't have our confidence. This is just like not looking at people. This is why you have to practice. Why you have to stand up in front of people. Why you go to things like Toastmasters. Okay. Now, if you use your hands, figure out a place to put your hands when they're resting. This is okay too. But it's going to be a little awkward for you to be up here as long as and you're like, yeah, be careful with that. So look, focus on just a couple of things at a time. Focus on eliminating vocalized pauses from your presentation, right? Number 2, try not to pace. Number 3, think about what you're going to do with your hands. Let's practice those 3 things when you come back on Thursday. So try to continue the inner dialogue you have with yourself, you've been having with yourself about your idiosyncrasies. What are idiosyncrasies? Just so everybody's on the same page when I use that word. Caleb? Repeat the 3 things. We're going to vocalize pauses. We're going to try to eliminate those. We're going to try not to pace or sway. And we're going to figure out, I think I said figure out what to do with our hands, right? Yeah. Let's focus on those 3 key things. Look, if we get those solved for all of us, you guys should pay extra for the course. Is he serious? No. Okay. Everybody good? So far with that. All right, so let's have a little structured conversation then around our personal delivery style. I brought one of these for everybody in case you need it. Do you need this to take notes? This is the handout that's in your book. Okay, let's pass them out so you can take notes. Just get down there. You can take notes in the areas that we're talking about. There you go. Hello, Jacqueline. How are you? I'm not sure that's enough, actually. Hold on. Let me give you a few more. Let's see if that gets us down there. Will you see if that will go down there? How many of you were in the leadership class last semester? Leadership. You were in law. Manuel, you were there, and Josh, you were there, right? So guys, this will be a refresher, but it won't hurt. I guess Ryan skipped today, right? Is Ryan here? You tell Ryan I know what's going on. Oh, wait, I need one. Is there an extra? Thank you. Jackie, would you mind grabbing those for me? Thank you. So now look, the things we're getting ready to talk about, just like we were about your idiosyncrasies, these are personal presentation styles. This is how you're going to format. These are things you need to know for you personally to deliver a presentation. Thank you. So be mindful of these things. Keep this sheet with your notes to look at it. You have this speech template that helps you create the content. But this is how you deliver it. This is your roadmap for delivery. These are the things you take into consideration to effectively convey your message and make an impact on your audience. Got it? First, volume. Volume is crucial. If I sat down here and talked like this, that might get old, especially for Jonathan. But if I talked like this, that might be a problem as well, right? Okay, so you have to know your room. You have to know your voice. How can I get my voice back to Amanda and Lizzie and Lily without yelling? Sorry. How can I get my voice back to Amanda and Lizzie and Lily without yelling? Chelsea? Articulating is important. Maya? Projecting is important as well. And what do I use, or what does anybody use to project? Amanda? Your diaphragm. Exactly, right? Where's your diaphragm? Right here. Everybody put your hand right there. Okay? Now with your hand there, breathe. Watch my hand. Can you see my hand going up and down? Now, that's breathing in my diaphragm. If I breathe like we typically breathe, my hand will be there, but you won't see it move. It'll be, because I'm breathing very shallow up here. This is your instrument for your voice, your diaphragm. This gives you the ability to project. It gives you the ability to finish sentences without stopping and taking a breath. It gives you the ability to change your tone. So if I want to speak in a little deeper voice, I can do it from here. That's how Darth Vader does it, right? Or you can talk like this. But this is your instrument. But it is what helps give you the volume control to go back. Now look, if you don't have a strong voice or you haven't practiced a lot, today use a microphone, even if it's for a small room. Don't let the inability to get to the back of the room interfere with your messaging. Everybody all right? And you see that. Okay, so the volume needs to be balanced throughout the room so everybody can see it. The rate. How many of you have heard, listened to people, and they speak way too quickly? Has that ever happened? And it interferes with the message. Now, if you're speaking to people that are taking notes, that might be one rate. But if you're speaking to an audience that's just listening, can you speed up? Yes, and you want to speed up because that keeps them engaged and that keeps energy flowing in the room. Let's look at it scientifically. At what rate do most people in the English language speak? We're not talking about a Spanish novella. Have you watched those? Yeah. My friends say, watch novellas, you'll learn how to speak. I'm like, it goes so fast, I can barely get a word. But in the English language, a native speaker, average number of words per minute. Somebody take a guess? Somebody said 60, somebody said 50. Any other guesses? You're a little low there. 80. 200's a little too high. 80's a little low. 125. 125 words a minute is about the pace I'm speaking at right now. 125 words a minute. Is that a comfortable pace? Can you listen and understand everything I'm saying? Okay, and it's comfortable for me to speak at that pace. I probably wouldn't speak at that pace if you were taking notes. Or if you know, right now, I would slow down every now and then to give you an opportunity to catch up. Yeah? But here's the question you have to ask. At what rate can people listen and understand? How many words per minute can be spoken and people can hear and comprehend the message? You think it's fewer than 125 or greater than 125? Greater. How much greater? Yeah, it's typically around 200, 175, 200, 225 words per minute. People can listen and understand. So that's about this pace. If I started talking like this, can you understand everything that I'm saying? Yes, you can, because I'm articulating it, but you can still understand and get it, right? And that's more around 200, 225. Okay, so here's the lesson from that. If you have to do a presentation and you get nervous, do you want to slow down or do you want to speed up? Speed up. Speed up every time. Every time. Because the audience will stay with you if you speed up. But if I begin to slow down, will the audience stay with me? You'll lose them. Now, don't go too fast. There's a balance. But if you are worried about being nervous and so you're not breathing enough, do your best to try to speed up rather than slow down. Anne-Marie.
I was going to say that when you're nervous, some people have that crack in their throat and they get really nervous. And speeding up would help them.
Speeding up would help that too. Very good point. Lizzie?
Is it possible to, throughout the presentation, change your speed? As in, for example, you want your audience to really take away certain things, so you slow down.
It's a great question. We're going to get to that in 2 shakes of a cat's tail. Whenever I used to say that to my daughter, she said, Dad, where are we going to find a cat? So, but yes, that's exactly what you want to do, Leslie. You want to have a vocal variety. Do you see the next to last one in the first section? A vocal variety. So we want to vary our volume. We want to vary our pitch. We want to vary our rate. All of those things you want to change during your conversation to emphasize something, or to engage, or to continue to bring energy. Which, by the way, who brings the energy to a presentation? You do. Yeah, and it's okay. A lot of people think you draw on the audience, and you can. But who has to bring it? Speaker. You've got to bring it. Okay? All right. Pitch. We've already talked about that. Your diaphragm is here. But here's your goal with your pitch. You want a pitch that matches you. So if I talk like this, it's probably not going to have much credibility. Plus, I got to work at it really hard. But if I talk like this, I really wouldn't have credibility. Like Mickey Mouse, right? Yeah. Hey, Minnie, how are you today? Or if I said, well, all right, all right, all right. Right? Yeah, yeah. That's okay. But you need a pitch that matches you. Can you change your pitch? Can you develop the pitch you want? Yes. How do we know that? We know that from DJs. DJs don't come out of the womb going, hey, Mom, Dad, nice to see you. Right? It doesn't happen that. These are people on the radio, DJs, yeah? They come in, they have that voice, you know, that radio voice. And so if Ryan were here, I would have him speak. He's got a great voice. I think I pointed that out the first day, right? He's got a great voice. And so but you can practice that. You can develop that. Men and women, you develop that. The newscasters you see on television, they didn't start out speaking like that. They've paid thousands and thousands of dollars to learn how to articulate and to develop just the right pitch for who they are. And you can do the exact same thing for this much money. Just practice zero, sorry. Just practice what I'm sharing with you, and it will come to you. All right. We've already talked about vocal mannerisms, grammar, pronunciation. We've done all that. I'm going to skip. I'm going to come back to articulation in just a moment. I want to get down to the visual just very quickly. Facial expression. Next to eye contact, what's the most powerful thing you can do during a presentation to engage your audience? Smile. Your smile. Here's why, is because it's contagious. Right, Lily? Lily tries not to. Yeah. Try. It's hard not to smile. How many of you have noticed that yawns are contagious? How many of you notice when your dog yawns, you will yawn? That's how contagious they are. When you yawn, your dog will yawn. Try it out. But a smile is just as contagious. If I smile up here, you will smile. Everybody does. Even you run mouth. Yeah, we tried this last time. The smile is powerful. And that's your primary tools, your facial expression, your eye contact, and your smile. But be a little animated as well. Eye contact, we've talked about. Posture and movement, we've talked about. This is known as what? A lectern or a podia. Podia are plural. Podium is singular, so this would be a podium. If there were several of them, you would say podia, my Latin friend, right? Podia. It's also known as a dais, D-A-I-S. If there's a stage, you can call it a stage, or you'll hear it referred to as the platform. When you get up on the platform, do you want a podium on the platform? Do you want a bar stool on the platform? Which side would you like the steps on? Right? But what is this for? What? Hiding, right. Yeah, it's not for that. This is to hold your notes. So if I were speaking to you and I had a page of notes, this is what it would look like. It wouldn't look like this. I'm not getting a death grip on it. I'm here, and I'm looking at my notes, and then I'm looking at you. But my hands are here or here. But if they're here and you've got to turn the page, then you've got to bring your hands back up. Now, today, there are all kinds of things that make it easier to use this. So here is the screen inside the podium. So I can look down and glance and get my note and look back up. How many of you are very familiar with PowerPoint? Let's start with PowerPoint. How many of you use Keynote? How many of you use Prezi? Okay. I've used them all. I've gone back to PowerPoint. I don't use a lot of charts and graphs, so Keynote can help you do that. Prezi, I just find it to be technologically challenging. for many of the AV people that I work with because they're not familiar with it. And if you've got a Prezi and something goes wrong, it's challenging to use that as notes to flow your presentation. So it's the only, if you PowerPoint, you carry a copy of your slides with you, and the technology goes down, well, you just go through the slides and you're good to go. So that's a good backup from a PowerPoint standpoint. But the reason I brought up PowerPoint while I'm standing up here is how many of you are familiar enough with PowerPoint that you know you can put speaker notes into PowerPoint that will not show up on the slide, but they will show up in your view. So you set up the audience view on the screen, but you have your speaker view on your laptop or on your phone or on your iPad, and you can have notes next to the slide. That way you're not overwhelming the audience with content on the slides, but you have sufficient notes to remind you of what you want to talk about. That comes from, you remember flip charts? White, big tablets, big white pieces of paper. Do people still use those? Do you know what I'm talking about? Well, the flip chart, well, they were a professor's dream. Because especially if you didn't want to have your back, when you go to a blackboard, chalkboard, why am I flipping that switch? Where's the, is that the screen over there? Yeah. I haven't taught in this room I don't think I've taught in this room in 25 years. Still looks the same though. Sheesh. So we used to call them blackboards, and now they're whiteboards, chalkboards, but yeah. So, but here's the problem. If I'm back here writing, where's my back? It's to you. How many of you had a teacher in school that did that? And then you lose the audience, and you lose the engagement with the audience. So the ideal way to use a board like this is to have it already created before you begin to speak. But even if you do that, then you're back here doing what? You're finding it and pointing to it. So a couple of lessons, and I'll get back to the flip chart in just a minute, but you don't want to do this. Even if the screen's down in your PowerPoint slides, you don't want to have your back and point to something on the screen. That's not an effective way to keep the audience engaged, right? You have your slides here, or you have your slides on your laptop here, or you have your note cards here. Don't get in a habit of doing this. That can be just as distracting. Have confidence that the slide changed when you clicked it. Everybody get that? All right. Now, back to the flip chart for a moment. You would have it all laid out, really big letters, block letters. You might have 2 or 3 points. And then with a really light pencil, you would write out your notes just like speaker notes in PowerPoint, and they would be on the page, but the audience couldn't see them. They could see the big red marker letters or the big blue marker letters. And then you have your notes to remind you of more to talk about in very light shaded pencil on that page. And so you can look at that and see that and then turn around and speak. But that's where the notes function from PowerPoint comes from. I really should charge extra for that kind of history. You guys know about cutting and pasting, right? You know where that comes from? We literally used to cut. We do these 100-page deeds of trust for these oil and gas things. Everybody did it. Well, if you make a mistake on page 49, you're not going to rewrite 100 pages because that's what we had to do, right? You had to type it up, each page individually. So we'd literally take a blank piece of paper, make the change, cut it out, paste it over what it was, and then make a copy of that. That's where cutting and pasting comes from. I should charge extra for that kind of thing, shouldn't I? Yeah? You guys don't think so? All right. So All of these things are just little tips that can avoid distracting the audience. Got it? All right. One last thing before we get back to articulation. Support media. PowerPoint is a support medium. It supports the talk. It is not the talk. You have to understand that difference. Video, support medium. Audio, music, handouts, flip chart, whiteboards, all of those are support medium. Why are they important when you're doing a presentation? They illustrate, they emphasize, they reinforce. What people hear, they might remember about 10-15% of. What they hear and see, it goes up to about 35%. What they hear, see, and do, it goes up to about 70%. Experiential learning. That's why we don't just look at the template, we use the template. That's why we don't just talk about articulation, we're going to exercise on the articulation. Since we're there. Josh, would you mind helping me with passing these out to everybody? Manuel, you can demonstrate to everybody how to do this. Once you take that one and just put a few on each. I'll get this first row and then start on the others. Just give them, they can pass them down. Might go down that way. Okay. I do. Oh, he's got one? Okay. Does everybody have a peppermint? Don't eat it. Don't eat it. But do take it out of the wrapper. Hopefully your hands are clean. You don't have one. How many do you need? Josh, are you out? Oh. Okay. All right. Bulk candy. All right. Hold on. This is the way, it's not like this. Stripes are sideways, not vertical. So hold on. Don't do anything with it just yet. Now, this is an exercise. Now, the peppermint is taking the place of a wine cork. You want to use a wine cork for this exercise on an ongoing basis. But if you'll do this for 30 seconds to a minute a day, your articulation will be amazing. Even if English is not your first language, it will change your world. 1 minute a day. Put the cork in between. Don't do it yet. Just watch me. Put the cork like this, and then read something out loud in the language you want to practice. Personal delivery styles, vocal, volume, rate, pitch, articulation, grammar, vocal variety, vocal mannerisms. Why only 1 minute? Because your jaw will begin to hurt. And you want to do it privately. Why? Because after about 40 seconds, you will begin to drool profusely down the front of your body. This, I told you about these newscasters and actors and actresses that pay thousands and thousands of dollars to learn how to articulate. This is how it's done with that cork. How many of you ever saw the movie My Fair Lady? Okay, well, if you haven't seen the movie My Fair Lady, look and see all the things they go through to help her to speak clearly. Did you see the King's Speech? Somebody had a speech impediment. This is all derived from do you know your Greek philosophy? Have you ever heard the name Demosthenes? Demosthenes was a very famous Greek orator, a speaker, but he had a severe speech impediment. But he learned that if he went down to the river before he had to give his speech and took pebbles from the river and put them in his mouth and gave the speech to the river with the pebbles in his mouth, when he took the pebbles out, he was able to deliver a very eloquent speech. The impediment didn't interfere with. This is the same principle. How many of you used ankle weights? Zachariah, did you use ankle weights ever? Anne-Marie used ankle weights. And when you wear those for a while and then take them off, what happens? You're faster. You feel like you can jump higher, right? The impediment is gone. Same concept. You're putting an impediment in that you have to work around it. Your tongue and your jaw has to work around it. And then once you establish that process and practice it, it becomes second. Like, somebody tell me, my friends from, somebody give me a letter in the English language that you have trouble with, if English isn't your first language. Bless you. Which one?
I have a list.
Oh, with thus?
The S.
The S. The S. Yeah, if you do this, it will help with that because it will force your tongue to move. The TH often is difficult. Can somebody say thing? Thing. Some people that are trying to learn English, they'll say ting, right? Ting. So put your tongue up where you say ting. Everybody say ting, and think about where your tongue is. Ting. It's on the roof of your mouth, right? Ting. Now say thing. Where's your tongue? Totally different place. Do you see? This will force you to use your tongue and your jaw differently, right? All right. So I want you to put this in between your teeth. Don't chew it. Don't swallow it. Put it between your teeth and repeat after me. Are you ready? Come on. Everybody, put it between your teeth. Stripes are horizontal, not vertical. Yeah. This way. Now this way. With the flat end sticking out, sticking in. Everybody see it? Yeah. Repeat after me. Other way. The flat end out. Turn it, yeah, that way. So the flat part is sticking out.
Yeah, it's broken.
Oh, okay. Are you ready? I've got a hen. I've got a hen and a couple of ducks. I've got a hen, a couple of ducks, and 3 brown bears. Deandre, are you saying it? I've got a hen, but I want you to work on it. I've got a hen, a couple of ducks, 3 brown bears, and 4 running hares. 3 brown bears, 4 running hares. Can you sense the difference? You're having to work to say it? Okay, take your peppermint out for just a moment. You're starting to drool, aren't you? I should video these. Repeat after me. I've got a hen. I've got a hen and a couple of ducks. I've got a hen, a couple of ducks, and 3 brown bears. I've got a hen, a couple of ducks, 3 brown bears, and 4 running hares.
I've got a hen, a couple of ducks, 3 brown bears, and 4 running hares.
Okay, the other objective of this exercise is a breath builder. Right? So as we go forward, try to say everything in one breath. Okay? Now, how many of you are already seeing a little bit of a difference in the way you articulate? Okay, everybody say the words. Say the word out loud, T-I-N. T-I-N, the metal. T-I-N, the metal. Now say T-E-N, the number. Now say T-A-N, the color. Now say them quickly. Better. 10, 10, 10. Not 10, 10, 10. Yeah, 10, 10, 10, 10. Say the word pleasure. One more time. It's not pleasure. Pleasure. Say the word measure. It's not measure. Measure. Do you see the difference? Measure. Measure. I have a brother who says pleasure. It's my pleasure. I'm like, it's what? My pleasure. I mean, you're happy about it? Yeah. So it doesn't sound like it. Put this back in. I've got a hen, a couple of ducks, 3 brown bears, and 4 running hares. Hen, a couple of ducks, 3 brown bears, 4 running hares. I've got a hen, a couple of ducks, 3 brown bears, 4 running hares, and 5, it's a hard word to say with this, 5 fabulous females. I've got a hen, a couple of ducks, 3 brown bears, 4 running hares, 5 fabulous females. Say that last one again and articulate well. 5 fabulous females. Take that out. Say 5 fabulous females. 5 fabulous females. Do you see the emphasis? You see how it's better? You see how it works? 5 fabulous. Not fabulous, fabulous. You see it? And you've got to exercise to do it. Okay, this is how you do it. With a wine cork, take it out of the bottle. Kayla.
My vocal classes, they did the same exercise.
Speak up just a little for me.
Sorry, to pick up your diaphragm.
Yes.
He would like to make sure you're breathing from your diaphragm.
Yes.
He would like hit your throat to make sure you're not dead.
Oh my gosh! Really?
Because if you're breathing shallow,
Yeah.
if you hit your throat,
You're going to stop talking. Ooh, interesting. Who wants to volunteer for that? Zachariah. No, you're not going to hit me. I'm going to hit you. But I like the way you think. So you get this? Okay, let's practice our breath then. Everybody hold on to this. Yeah, Nicholas. Nicholas. Practice. My bad. Oh, my God. Andy, I am not going to survive this. Are we running late? Oh my gosh, I haven't paid attention. Real quick, I got a hen, a couple of ducks. Go ahead. You ready? I've got a hen, a couple of ducks, 3 brown bears, 4 running hares, 5 fabulous females, 6 simple Simons sitting on a stump, 7 Sicilian sailors sailing the 7 seas, 8 egotists echoing egotistical ecstasies, 9 naked nibs nibbling on nebs, knuckles, and nicotine. And I'm not a fig plucker, but the fig plucker's son. I'll sit here and pluck figs till the fig plucker comes. You try to say that really fast. All right, we'll come back to this on Thursday. Thank you for reminding me, Nicholas, about the time. If you had to sign in, give that to Spencer, please. Remember, hey, no class on Tuesday. I'll see you Thursday with your presentations ready. Everybody good? Yeah. Go.